hundreds of Australian families are faced with the prospect of finding their child floating in a backyard swimming pool. On average, 35 children aged 0 to 4 will lose their life, and many more will be left disabled as a result of their near drowning. This is our story.
There's been another backyard swimming pool tragedy in Sydney with a child drowning today.
2 children have drowned in a dam on a property in Queensland.
It now seems the story of a lethal trend. As these statistics show, 8 years ago, thanks to a major public education campaign and due to the impact of pool fencing legislation, toddler drownings started to come down. In 2005, they reached an all-time low. But during the next 2 years, that trend began to change. And now, after a recent spate of toddler drownings, those numbers are forecast to rise again. If the Royal Life-Saving Society's predictions are correct and the number of drownings and near drownings is going back up again, there's a very simple question. Why is it happening? To try and answer that, we've come to Westmead Hospital here in Sydney to talk to someone who's been looking at that issue very closely. Dr. Gary Brown is the head of emergency medicine at the hospital. He treats thousands of children like this young boy each year for many different complaints. But in 2007, he became alarmed at a spike in the number of toddlers who'd been rescued from backyard pools turning up in his hospital. He was so concerned, he decided to study 8 of those incidents. But his report, published in the Australian Medical Journal, makes 2 other key points that would chill any parent. In each case, there was a lack of parental supervision. But the fact that really shocked him was this. In every incident, the child's safety fence around the pool or the gate failed or was faulty.
These toddlers had all been unsupervised and had all got through pool fences, which were not in appropriate working order, into backyard swimming pools.
You want to hop out of your chair?
If the failure of pool fences rocked Dr. Brown, it changed the life of Samuel Morris and his family forever.
You have children, you have this imagined life for them, that they'll grow up and have a family, good education, that sort of stuff. Now you live with a constant 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week care role for Samuel. 1, 2, 3.
Samuel is now 4 years old. He cannot speak, he cannot walk, and he is fed through a tube in his stomach. When his parents bought their house, they thought they had a safe pool with a strong fence. They were wrong. 2 years ago, the toddler made his way along the family pool fence. Coming to this corner, he leant and then pushed against the railing. Incredibly, the relatively new fence collapsed. Minutes later, his sister raised the alarm, but by then, he was already in the pool.
He was floating just a few centimetres under the water, and it was the most... No one should see this sight. It was just horrible.
Why was that?
He had foam coming out of his mouth. His eyes were rolled and bulging. He was a strange colour. It didn't look like my son. And so it did not feel like this was real. Just did not feel that way.
Back at home, the family made a shocking discovery.
When we purchased the place, we requested that the fence be put in. We assumed that the fence was put in to comply with the Australian standard. Tragically, after Samuel's accident, we found out that it wasn't the case. We were contacted by council to indicate that the DA had never been finalised and council had never actually inspected the pool fence.
If this seems like simply a case of bad luck, the figures tell another story. In 2004, Choice magazine ran a survey that showed 18 different types of pool fencing material out of 31 surveyed did not meet Australian standards. In another major report, the New South Wales Water Safety Task Force found that of 1,000 pools surveyed, nearly 50% had defective fences. Those who should know say there's a way to stop toddler drownings, and they know the consequences too if their warnings are not heard.